we on a sister ship. Come with us, we on a sister ship. Yeah, we on a sister ship. Roll with us, we on a sister ship.
Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with ya. We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with ya. Substance, sis, you know we on a mission, no games. Help each other get over some things, build strength, bring change. Cause we been through the rain, now it's time to shine like bling. Let's talk about life skills. We building up our quality to right wills. We rolling out of poverty, love heals. So we become the prodigy of how a sistership could be a really hot commodity. Stand together, we united, hold hands. Support each other dreams and our plans, doing everything we can. Just to show we understand the power of a friendship fam. Live life on purpose, together we learn it. Yeah, let's talk, we don't wanna see you hurt. And we here for each other, no matter the color, networking. That's for sure and for certain. Come on,
yeah, we on a sister ship. Come with us, we on a sister ship. Yeah, we on a sister ship. Roll with us, we on a sister ship.
we're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with ya. We're my sisters, we got this, sisters. You roll with me and I'll roll with ya.
Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it. Sister ship, we got this now. Come on, let's talk about it.
We on a sister ship.
We got a great sistership today. Oh my goodness. First of all, we are in November.
Already.
Where is the year going?
Thankfully,
we
it's
got,
going.
Christmas is like in a few what? Oh, it's ridiculous. Also, Substance, she just came out with her new single that
Lane
just
Switch.
dropped, Lane Switch. Please cop that. That is the writer and the producer of our opening montage, and we just want to give her so much love. Moving forward, we have, this is the week. You know, the countdown, we've been talking about the countdown, has been, voting. Let's get out there and vote. Black votes matter. Black votes matter. Women rock the vote. And today, this is your girl, Tiffany Rowe.info. I got my girl, Bling. I got Lady Wisdom Sherry over here.
And a special guest.
And a special guest. We have one of our state representatives who is running for re-election, Maureen Madden. First and foremost, we're in PA. And if you could share with our viewers and our listeners, what are the zip codes that you are running? Because I know people get confused. They think they see a number. They don't quite understand what area is what area and who's doing what and where. So can you share maybe the areas in which you are going to be running for?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes!
Welcome.
I'm so happy to be here on the sistership. And thank you for the wonderful munchies.
Yes.
I came in here starving.
Thank you, because I was hungry too.
She came in with a bag full of goodies for us.
Too.
And
Yes,
I think
we got some candy.
You gave these out for Halloween, right?
Yes,
On
I
the
did.
bag. Remember the vote that says re-elect Maureen Madden on the bag. So we have some of these to give out to the kids when we get back to the community.
Excellent. And I
We gotta give it to the
From
adults.
in my car.
How far away from the polls can we give these candies out tomorrow on
10
Tuesday?
feet.
10 feet.
10 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have a big box for the
'Cause the-
polls, so I'll be
Man,
delivering those to the polls. but
I'm coming
after
there.
breakfast.
I will be there live and in living color. I
There you
decided
go.
not to do the early vote. I wanted people to see my face.
Right.
I will mask up. I will do what we need to do. However, I think it was really important for who can go and comfortable going to make it their business to go out there and vote. And coming from an ancestry where we could not vote, Selma, all of that, knowing what had to take place to get from one point to be able to
Make
put
sure
an
you
X
go
on the
out
box.
and vote.
I want to be seen. I want to be seen. But again, share with us the area.
Sure. So I'm running for my third term. I was
Nice.
first elected in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I represent the 115th Legislative District.
Mm-hmm.
And I represent, starting in Coolbaugh Township,
Okay.
Tobyhanna, where I live. Not to be, now there's two. There's a Tobyhanna Township, and there's a Tobyhanna,
Mm-hmm.
which is in Coolbaugh Township.
Mhm.
Okay.
I represent Tobyhanna in Coolbaugh Township.
Ship.
Got
Okay.
you.
Tobyhanna Township is the 176th district, and that will be that's the district that many of you know Claudette Williams is running. on.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
that's what gets I have to
Confusing.
say, for me,
Yeah.
it does get
A little bit
confusing,
confusing.
understanding who does what.
Yeah,
And I had someone ask me, would you put, a sign? And I'm like,
yeah.
I just got,
Yep.
they had to explain.
So Coolbaugh Township, Tobyhanna, that's 18466. That's the
Mhm.
zip code 18466. Then I jump over Pocono Township,
Mm-hmm.
which is the 176th. But I do represent Price Township and Paradise
Oh,
Township.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And then I represent Stroudsburg Borough.
Mm-hmm.
I represent East Stroudsburg Borough.
Okay.
But the borough of East Stroudsburg, not Middle Smithfield or Smithfield Township,
Got you.
because they have
Gotcha.
addresses of East Stroudsburg. It's
Okay.
extremely confusing.
is
Yeah,
Crazy.
it gets confusing.
And then I represent Stroud Township 1 through 6.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be, if you're getting to Cherry Valley, that's not me.
Okay.
Okay.
Middle Road up that way. I end at pretty much probably about Dreher Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's I have 61,000 constituents.
Mhm.
Woo!
Nice.
And it has been absolutely my honor to serve the people of the
Mhm.
115th District
Mhm.
for the past 4 years. And I am, hoping to be reelected for a third term and continue to serve.
Go out and vote.
That's go out and vote.
Go out and vote.
That's right.
What was, to get into politics and to get involved so locally? And honestly, a lot of times when someone has done a few terms, they want to take it to beyond this local and take it to another space. However, I have a lot of respect for those who want to be part of the fabric in where they live. This is the footprint. What took place in your world 4 years ago, maybe probably longer than that, for you to say, I need to do something. There's something, because you only do it because something
What
is
motivated
really
you?
bothering you.
Mhm.
Sure.
What was the motivation?
Well, I've been involved in politics for a long time. I started knocking on doors for Geraldine Ferraro when I was 19 years old.
When you were 19.
Yeah, when
Okay.
she was
Yes.
running to be
I
my
remember.
congresswoman,
Mhm.
and she had been preceded by Shirley Chisholm.
Mm-hmm.
And the audacity, Barack Obama wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the audacity of hope was Shirley Chisholm.
Mm-hmm.
I was this young woman, this young girl, and here was this woman standing on the stage saying, my name is Shirley Chisholm. I'm running for president.
President.
And
Yes.
she was within my reach. She was
Yes.
she was a Brooklyn and Queens congresswoman.
QE.
Right. And I was living in Queens at the time in Forest Hills. I mean, not in Forest Hills, in Jackson Heights.
Okay.
So, and then she said something that really, and so I'm 60 years old, and I grew up
She
in
looks real good. I don't know. We
Queen
all
Age of
behind
Wisdom. We may have to
Queen Age,
put her as the Queen Age of the Week.
We all
Mhm.
behind
I
the-
think we need to do
the
that.
mask, but this, she looks
Well,
good. You look
well,
good, girl.
thank you, I appreciate that. The mask hides a lot. But, so, when I was growing up in the 70s, my role models were Betty Friedan, Shirley Chisholm, Gloria Steinem.
So yeah.
We grew up in a time where we felt like women were going to achieve equality with men.
Okay.
We grew up in a time, and I mean, I'm talking the 70s, at a time when women still couldn't get a credit card.
Yes, without
In
their
their
husband
own
signing.
name, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we grew up in this time when we were fighting for all this equality, and, TV moms like Donna Reed were replaced with Mary Tyler Moore, women with spunk.
But
Career women.
Yes.
So for me, it was my obligation to be part of that, and I was part of that. When I was 13 years old, I wanted to run cross country, and we didn't have a girls cross country team at Hackettstown High School, right over the Delaware Water Gap. So I was complaining to my dad that they told us we were going to have to wait one more year, and then the next year we'd have a girls cross country team. And I said, Dad, I don't think that's fair. Why can't we have a girls cross country team now? He said, well, they're not organizing it now, but we just passed Title IX, which says that if men and women don't have equal sports, but the sport that women want to compete in is a non-contact sport, they have to let women compete.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad said, you go to the library, you research Title IX, we'll make an appointment with the Board of Education, and we'll plead your case in front of the board. And my dad has always been politically involved.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away at 56 in 1991. But in those years that he was a tremendous influence on me politically. So we made our case, and the board came back with, absolutely, you can run on the boys cross country team.
Wow.
So that was huge. So there were
Nice.
about 5 or 6 girls in the entire state of New Jersey that were able to run in the boys cross country team. And it was a very big deal. We got like the Sunday pullout section of the Star Ledger, and that was my first taste of understanding the power of one person, right? Understanding the power of your vote, understanding the power of your participation in democracy.
And your voice.
Because above all things, democracy is a participatory sport. So that was my taste. And then I was studying theater and dance, and I came to New York, and I was dancing with Alvin Ailey, and I was in a theater
You and
company. Yeah,
Closer to you.
and so Ronald Reagan became president.
Yes.
It was the 80s. And one of the first things he did was he slashed the National Endowment of the Arts. And when he did that, the third company of Alvin Ailey was disbanded.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I went to the Ed Summer Scholarships there.
Okay, so you know. The third company didn't dance at City Center. It didn't travel around the world. The third company went to Flatbush. It went to Bed-Stuy. It went to Harlem. And it brought the Saturday dance program. I'm going to take my glasses off before they fog up and I can't see you beautiful
Yeah, that's
women.
why I have it on top of my
Yeah.
head. They keep fogging up.
So it brought the Saturday dance program to kids in inner cities. It gave them the opportunity to dance at Alvin
Yes,
Ailey.
that was
Right.
me.
At the
That was
time,
me.
Did you dance?
Yes,
See?
yes.
At the time when Alvin Ailey was on top of the Minskoff Theater in Schubert Alley, and kids were dancing on the second floor looking down on Broadway, dancing to African drums, dancing to live music, being taught by Judith Jameson and Alvin Ailey. So the possibilities, the hope that it brought to these kids that I could do this, the possibilities, the potential is endless.
It's endless.
Then Ronald Reagan became president and he slashed that. So we lost our third company. And then a few months later, I come into work and I'm waiting on tables because I'm an aspiring actress. And the manager says, and now I'm really dating myself, at the end of every shift, you have to write how much you made in tips on your time card.
Right,
Remember
right,
when
right,
we
right,
punched
yes,
the
yes,
clock?
yes,
And
yes.
because Ronald Reagan in the House and the Senate passed this law that says waiters and waitresses are now going to be taxed
Tax
on their tips.
I remember that. Yeah.
So here I am, this struggling actress living with 9 other people in a 2-bedroom apartment on 113th Street and Amsterdam Avenue, just trying to carve out a little career for myself. And everywhere I turn, this guy, Ronald Reagan, is stepping on my toes. So I went home to Queens. I moved in with my sister in Woodside. And then later I moved to Jackson Heights. And I started knocking on doors with and for Geraldine Ferrara.
Okay.
And I never looked back. So here I'm 60, that I was 19. I have worked, either paid or volunteered, on some sort of political campaign every year for 40 years.
Amen. Amen.
Nice.
That takes you to another space. So, in your
Journey.
car
Mm-hmm.
journey
Mm-hmm.
in the city, what made you make that left on 80?
To Pennsylvania, right? Because we all made a left to
We all made a
Pennsylvania.
left.
So I grew up so I was born in Irvington, New Jersey, grew up the first 7 years of my life in Newark and West Orange, New Jersey. And then when I was 8 years old, my dad remarried and we moved to Hackettstown. So we had 6 kids. You are not hopping on a plane with 6 kids and going
No.
to Disney.
No,
we
you
couldn't
are
afford
not.
it. We
That's
were a
right.
one-parent income household. And if you wanted to maintain your sanity, you weren't getting in the car and going on very long drives
Right.
with 6 kids. So our
Are we
day
there
trips.
yet?
So as far as we went was Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
We went to Dorney, we went to Knoebels, we went to Camelback. So this was our playground. And then when we ran cross country and track, we used to come up here and run at East Stroudsburg University, which at the time was East
Okay.
Stroudsburg State College.
Okay.
Okay.
Games.
So
yeah.
I, after 22 years of living in New York, my husband Roy Ramos and I decided we were going to move to the Poconos because I had always had such wonderful memories of the Poconos. So I said to my son, you know, he had graduated from high school, and I had just graduated from college. I went back to college in my 40s. Got my bachelor's degree at 45, my master's degree at 50.
Nice.
So I said, we're moving to Pennsylvania. You're either coming or you're going to live on your own. He said, okay, I'll come. And so that's where we moved, to the Poconos. And in 2010, I feel like I have my back to you. I'm
No,
so
no, no,
sorry.
you're fine.
In 2010, I was hired as the NEPA field organizer for the Democratic Party, for the state
What does
Democratic
that
Party.
mean?
The Northeast Pennsylvania field organizer. So I was responsible for Monroe County, Pike County, and part of Lackawanna County to get out the vote. And 2010 was a very bad year for us. It's when the Tea Party really made
Yes.
So let me just say I'm a Democrat. So
Okay.
and so for me as a Democrat, it was a very bad year. Tom Corbett got elected. We lost so many seats. It was the beginning of a real tough time if you're a Democrat in terms of health care, in terms of wanting to raise the minimum wage, in terms of equality. So we've really been on a 10-year, I believe, downward spiral. Now we had 2 years of President Barack Obama. That was wonderful and historical, but every single day of his life, he had to fight against a Republican House and a Republican Senate
Yes.
that tried to block everything
But he did.
Well, I think too, and I think too with him, he had to fight, but there was so many other things that were happening that he had to fight as well. Because why do you feel we're at a point where I grew up in a household with different parties, but when something made sense, everyone seemed to be in the same accord. Why are we at a point where when something makes sense, but because it's not the party that's bringing the sense to the table, the other side is not? What's happening? Because I say that to say Barack Obama could not have won without both people saying, I want this man. I am a registered Republican and I want this man. I think at the time Ronald Reagan would not have been elected if Democratic people from the Democratic Party would not have voted for him. Okay, why are we at this point now where it seems like it's such a division? You want to answer, Lady Wisdom? Is it? Come on, go on.
That's a no-brainer right there. I mean, the division started at the head of the house, and technically, the president that is
45.
sitting in office now has to cause
45.
division. Unfortunately, his division has brought some open wounds and some sore. He's created chaos.
Gotta eat.
People have learned to become followers. Social media has helped in that. A lot of people don't look at social media as a creation of anything other than ways to get into your personal business, but it has created a following. So somebody like the president that sits now, his sitting, he's about popular. It's not what he's doing, because he's absolutely doing nothing but causing chaos. The problem is the people that are running around with him or feeling like he's doing something so major. Make America great again. What made you believe that America was horrible? right? That's first. Second, the question becomes, are you voting him in because he's saying what you are not ballsy enough to say? You know, like the things that's coming out of his mouth. He speaks out of both sides, and nobody checks him.
Mm-hmm.
He's not being checked on anything he's saying. He will say it, and 2 minutes later, he's saying something to contradict it, and look you in
And
your
no
face
one's
and
checking
act
it.
like your lying ears.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is that you got a lot of people that heard that lie and stayed there versus moving around. There's a big division. Like now, young lady, I was reading, CNN was talking about a 20-year-old young lady that fought cancer for the last decade. She got in. She offered. She wanted to do her vote. She was living in Wisconsin, and she wanted to vote, and she did an early ballot because she was gravely sick. Because she died,
I'm getting up. If you.
they
Okay.
will not allow her vote to be cast. They will not count her vote. Pennsylvania happens to be one of those states that is in that group that won't allow. If you die before the election, your vote is not counted. And this young woman, her vote is not being counted
Because she passed away.
because she passed away before the election. So it's like where we sit now, your voice matters. Even if, a lot of times, even where Trump sits, a lot of these Republicans found office, they skinned in. They just went in by the skin of their teeth. Every vote matters. There's 3 people that are running for president, for those that don't know. But in the process of it,
Kanye.
no.
Oh, please, no. We don't need that.
No, but a lot of people don't realize it. So it's always Democrat or Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican.
Or the
The
right
last election had 5 people,
Mm-hmm.
but it was always Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. The problem is we have too many people that don't have a voice, that don't have
Or just won't speak
a mind of their own. Let's put it that way.
up. Or won't speak up.
Like the things that they keep putting out about Biden is about things that happened in the 70s. But the things that they're saying about Trump is happening now, and to them, it's a lie.
You know what? You mentioned that Biden was, I think it was a town hall, and he mentioned that, that those hard questions of some true mistakes that had been made while he has been a public servant, public figure. And what I found, and I will say it out loud, I wasn't, I knew who I was choosing, but I wasn't in love with the choice. However, I found honor in him when he said, I made a mistake. We made
took
mistake."
accountability.
Took accountability. I am forever challenged by, and I say 45, and I can say, as a Queens person, we grew up with this family. When he mentioned the Central Park 5 and how
We talked about that.
what he did during that time. I was a kid. I saw the full ad pages. When they became the exonerated 5,
Fine.
silence and crickets. As sitting president, a miniseries came out on Netflix that now pull back a scab when New York made a huge mistake. And he at this point could have, as a president, maybe not as a multi-billionaire in New York, in Jersey, and a TV reality host on, in Hollywood, would it have mattered if he would have apologized? But I would have liked it. However, as sitting president, to then come back and still say that, I don't think they got it right, or, to just play with that,
To double down.
it bothers my core. And I remember my old boss, before I had my own real estate company where I worked prior, I was the top agent. And because of that, it's your birthday, they take you out, whatever. And it was the time, my birthday's January 2nd, it was that time when 45 won but hadn't been inaugurated. It was in that middle. And the boss said to me, I know your girl didn't get it, and I know you're probably upset, but I want you don't think I'm a racist because I'm for him. And I said to him, I don't think everyone that voted for him is a racist. First of all, I don't feel that most people have the power to be a racist, more prejudiced than racism.
Exactly.
I don't think everyone that voted for him is a misogynistic, hate women, want to grab them in places they, and think they can. I don't think everyone that voted for him is against people that are in military that are prisoners of war, people of special needs, and all of the different things that he says about, the dirty people and the trash and all this. But I will say none of that was a deciding factor. None of that was a break moment to say, this is a little off. So I am challenged by that. But my concern was with the division and the reality, and maybe that's another scab, of at the time of President Barack Obama, who is an American citizen, why, just because of partisan, we're here today to talk about healthcare and politics. And that, to me, if a man can give birth to a baby, Barack Obama was giving birth to affordable care and affordable health.
It was something that was talked about under Teddy Roosevelt's
Absolutely.
administration.
Yes.
By a Republican president. So you asked me the question. You asked me two questions I didn't get to.
Wait a minute. Wait, stop. That's a good politician, because you know that if you think that. So she's not really a politician. This is just this is a home girl hanging out with the sistership today.
That's actually more the college professor in there, right? Somebody asks you a question, you get into a different conversation, but you got to come back to the conversation. And my students used to say, when they would do Rate My Professor, they would say, sometimes she goes off on a tangent. But she always comes back.
That's
good.
So you asked why. So first you asked, why did I decide to run? In 2012, after I'd been the NEPA field organizer, the chair of the Democratic Party asked me to run. And she said, I don't know if anybody can beat this particular person, but of all the people that I've met, I think you have the best shot. And I ran, and it was a presidential year. It was Barack Obama's second term. And 26,000 people had come out to vote, and I lost by just shy of 3,000 votes. So
That's not.
I went from
Every
nobody
vote
knew
counts.
who I was to commanding like 47% of the vote, which was pretty good. So why did I run? What was my message? Well, I've been deeply involved in politics for a very long time. But I've only lived here for 15 years. I'm an anomaly, really. People who run for office, the thing they run on is, hey, I can trace my roots to the Mayflower. When the Mayflower landed at Stroudsburg Rock. And so I came into this from a different point of view. I'm married to a dark-skinned Puerto Rican who
plays fabulous music, I've heard.
Thank you very much.
Wait, where?
Oh, yeah, he can play.
Yes, he can. And so when I met him, and 25 years ago, and he asked me, he was having trouble finding work back in Brooklyn, where he's from Brooklyn. And racism is insidious in every part of this country. We want to think, New York is woke, but there were Italian restaurants that Roy Ramos could never get a gig at. So the first thing I did was took his name off of everything, his picture off of everything, and I designed a logo with Roy on the neck of the guitar. And anything anybody knew about him was only the sound of his beautiful voice, and that he had a nice white Irish girl, MAUREEN Madden, booking his gig.
And he started to get gigs.
And he played a gig in Bayside, Queens, where they never saw him until he walked in the door. And during a break, I'm sitting with the owner, and he says to me, your husband's very talented. I said, thank you very much. And then he said something that made me nearly fall off my bar stool. He said, but when he first walked in carrying the speaker on his shoulder, I thought he was helping the musician. I didn't think he was
Yes.
the musician. So
That's real talk, though.
it's that kind of stuff. And then you moved to the Poconos 15 years ago, and all of you who have been here longer than I have been fighting this battle much longer. But we had a whole new kind of challenges when we moved here. And so when I ran in 2012, I ran on the premise that whether we've lived here 50 years, 100 years, 20 years, 15 years, we've all moved here. We've all bought a home. We're all invested. We're all paying the same taxes. And I'm running to be everybody's representative. I'm not excluding you because you are the bedroom community, right? The people. And I live in a Pocono country place. I live in one of the largest private communities, one of the most maligned private communities. They call it the hood in the woods. All kinds of names they have for my community. I moved out of New York because I didn't want to see my next door neighbor singing in his bedroom in his underwear when I was in my kitchen making dinner.
Right.
I didn't move to get away from people. I moved to get away from people on top of
Each other, right.
So when I moved here and I saw all of these challenges that my husband had or that anybody in this room has, my white privilege was in check really quick. Anything that I can do to bring voice to the problems and the challenges of every Pennsylvanian, it's an incumbent upon me to do that. So that's why I ran. And I lost my first time. And then my second time, talk about every vote counts, I lost by 585 votes.
Whoa.
Just like 2016. People didn't come out to vote when I ran in 2014. Then in 2016, I won by just under 900 votes. Then I got into office and I proved to the people that I'm here to represent everyone. Doesn't matter who you are. I am your representative, Republican or Democrat, black or white, Hispanic, whatever your nationality is, whatever your ethnicity is. And when I won my re-election, I won by just shy of 4,000 votes, by 18 points. So why did I get involved? I got involved because I have this passion. Because I was a single mother with 2 little boys going back to college because waiting on tables for 12 hours a day was not commensurate with being a mom and raising your kids and, giving your kids the best they could do. I knew I could do better. Now I have a child who's 32 and he's going back to college. There's 9 classes left. So that's why I got involved in it. Now to answer your last question, why are we so divisive? Because we had a black president. Because we had a black president who demanded equality. Because we had people of color who finally are demanding equality, right? And so people weren't excited about Hillary. People didn't come out and vote. Black women didn't come out and vote. Black people didn't come out and vote. White people didn't come out and vote. And now 4 years later, everybody in this room, women of color, white women, black men, white men, everybody is realizing their power. And that if we're going to stop the destruction of our democracy as we know it, we all have to take part. But let me just say this, black women are the ones that are going to determine this race. The power lies in black women. Black mothers who don't want to see their children gunned down anymore, right? Black dads who don't want to have to explain to their sons, if you see a police car pulling you over, you quick get your license and you put it on the dashboard and you put your hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel, right? People who don't want to get passed up for promotions because of the color of their skin. We are understanding our power. We are understanding that we are this close to achieving equality with the right leaders in office. Not that we're this close to achieving equality, but we're this close to electing the representatives that will represent all of the people and that will stand up at a Black Lives Matter rally and speak, as Congressman Matt Cartwright and myself did. People who will, who will not be afraid to stand up and say, I am the mother of 2 New York City police officers. I am. But those children were raised by a bleeding heart liberal mother who said, you treat everybody equally. Everybody is innocent till proven guilty. Everybody gets a fair shot at justice. So this is all the potpourri of why I find myself sitting here right now talking to you, running for my third term.
And I always say that we all have a role to play. We just need to stay in the lane and know what our role is. And listening to you says, wow, this is the reason why we actually started the sistership.
Yes.
Because we wanted to bring everybody together, women, men, stop the cliques and the clacks and whatever, we're doing up here, but bring it all together. And while doing that, there's been so much of a struggle. So we know what you're going through and what everybody is going through, because when we first started the sistership, it was all black women.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came up against
And
why do you
Hispanic
have
women.
and Hispanic women as well. I came up against, well, why is everybody black? It's just a black show, and we had to come up against that. And I said, no, that's not what it's about. It's about bringing everybody together. And if you give us a chance, we will show you that it's not just about
Give us
that.
more than 3 shows.
But, right. but allow us to have something. But people were up in arms because everybody was black. And that's not what it's about. We're about uniting everybody together.
Well, the challenge with that for me is there was a conversation. However, there is never a conversation if the ensemble doesn't look all black. There's never that conversation. Now, you were sharing, and yeah, I feel we are definitely collectively, mindfully moving a little bit more forward than prior.
Right.
And I love the fact that some of the slave mentality in a lot of people is lessening so that we can have this type of conversation and a corporate scenario. But the current administration, there's 200 plus judges that were, they have lifetime jobs. There's 3 Supreme Court judges that have lifetime jobs that are creating, that will be the creators of the new precedents, let's say. And to me, that was my biggest fear. I hate saying fear, but I do, because my grandfather was a Tuskegee Airman. My family, my great-great-grandfather was a Pullman porter. My great-great-grandmother used to clean homes. And so she bought her house and her china and her crystal. And I still have her china and her crystal. And with the appointing of this structure, I feel like a lot of what we've gotten to, I just feel something really wrong inside my core.
And you should. Democracy. Donald Trump is extremely important to democracy. It's a wake-up call. It's a wake-up call that we cannot take our democracy for granted.
That's right.
Because look how close we are to an authoritarian regime right now.
Yes.
He gets away with everything.
Everything.
He said he came down on the escalator and he called Mexicans rapists and murderers. Roy Ramos is my second husband. My first husband was half Mexican. My children are half Mexican. I am deeply offended by that remark. I'm deeply offended by everything that comes out of that man's mouth. And so what if this is a black show? So what if black women decided we need a bigger voice in the Poconos? We need to speak out against what is wrong in our politics and what we need to do to make our government reflect the diversity of our communities. Good on you. Good on you for doing that. And being inclusive to invite me. You're not an all-black show with all-black guests.
No,
You're
not at all.
You're a diverse program inviting people from the community to share their experiences, their thoughts to how we make our community better. And I'm happy
Absolutely.
for any platform that does that.
And I think we had an incident. I don't know if we want to go into that a little bit, but I remember Jane called me, and I think you got involved, and also Claudette got involved in an incident at the administrative building. We said we were going to have a show with, I believe it's her daughter-in-law, about what happened at the administrative building. And I think it's the time for all of us to speak up about what is going on, because we do live in this community, and we make up a large percentage of the community. So it's time for us to get out there and say, hey, no, we're not going to do this no more, and you're not going to do it. I don't care if you're green, yellow, purple, we're going to make sure that we get what is deserving for everyone.
That's right. Equality. We're all created equal in a democracy. And it's taking a long time to get there, but we have to keep fighting, we have to keep talking, and to your point, we are very divisive right now. I see that in my own House of Representatives where I serve, that there is so little that we can agree on. The Republican House of Representatives, the majority of the Republican House of Representatives tried to pass an election integrity committee where they were going to allow these officials to come in and grab ballots, to question the integrity of, if that isn't a page from the Donald Trump.
Oh my goodness.
And did you see on the news yesterday where there was a Biden campaign bus and it was completely surrounded by Trump trucks?
Ridiculous.
And they had to turn around and they didn't make it to the campaign stop because they were fearful of their lives.
But unfortunately, that's what we're experiencing at the PA administration office.
Yes.
It's a lot of foolery going on down there. I went down there, and there was people there, and one of the constables, first of all, they need to be checked.
Immediately.
The constable turned around, walks out the door, throws his arms out, screams at the top of his lungs, if y'all don't back up and get away from me and be 6 feet away from me, I'm going to get you arrested, or something like that, in that manner he said. So what their hope was, what the problem is right now is they couldn't imagine as many people that are actually voting right now. They did the early voting to October 27th here in the state of Pennsylvania. A lot of that is a surprise. A lot of these people that are for Trump could care less about them. They don't make enough money for him to even look at them. I had to tell a couple of people, I actually see you now.
Woo!
Purpose.
And we did.
I actually can see you. And the fact that I can see you, I don't like what I'm seeing. Then I said to let her know, I said, you guys are sitting here acting like he's a god or something.
That's what
Realize this. You don't have enough money to pique his mind or his attention. If your ass was on fire, he wouldn't spit on you to put you out. That's number one. Number two, he wants to police his African Americans, and he does that, and he wants to make sure he tries to get the black voters he can. Ice Cube, Ice-T, 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, they speak for no black community in itself. They're speaking out of their pockets.
From the
Right.
1%.
They're looking
1%.
at their pockets and the kind of money that they have and the laws and the things that was affected when he passed these tax laws. They don't care about you, and they don't care about anyone else. They care about that almighty dollar,
Bottom line.
which is exactly all Trump is looking for.
Yes.
He will not denounce. He has contradicted himself. The coronavirus has been a curse and a blessing. It is a huge thing. Right now, we got a lot of people that are fighting to get him in there. Senate, Congress, even the president has health insurance for life and their families. But they're fighting for something for the average American that they want to take away. Not because they don't think whether it's a good program. They want to take it away because of who put it in effect.
Yes.
Right.
That was being played for decades. Massachusetts is a state that had an Affordable Care Act program for decades. They needed to see how it would go global. This is my personal opinion, not the opinions of others.
Or GenesisRadio.com. No, he
I
always
believe that
Disclaimer.
Barack Obama was the guinea pig that they needed
Ooh.
to get that program in play. Is it helpful to some? No. Is it helpful to others? Yes. And that's the biggest problem, because they don't see the difference. The things that they fight over, they're fighting over things that are not affecting them. I don't believe Donald Trump had the coronavirus. For anybody that believed that, they foolish.
He was
You
getting ready
telling
for
me
that
that
debate.
he's a 74-year-old man that was fine after 2 days?
Ridiculous.
No one, even a light version of the virus, doesn't just walk away from your body. His wife, I believe she had it, and I believe his son had it, and all those other people. But I think he did it for show. Every voice counts. Get out and vote.
Vote.
Get
Get
I
out
don't
and
care
vote.
if the third person
Get
is
out
Joe
and
Jorgensen.
vote.
Joe Biden is in office. These are your alternatives. Vote him out. Just get him out of office. Those that got to vote, please get out there, not only for this general election, but get out there for the primaries.
Yes.
Those are the important elections. A lot of people don't know how important those are. Congress, they pass these laws. President can't pass those laws. Everything you see that Trump is doing is an executive order.
So again, we
I like-
can't just
yeah.
get out there and vote for this vote. We need to do the primaries
We
as
need
well.
to be part
because
of,
we tend
and
to
you have to be
only do this vote
registered
and then stop.
in a political party to be able
Correct.
to be
Yes,
able to
in the
vote.
state of
Correct, because a lot of
Pennsylvania,
people
you
got
have
caught up
to.
in that. Yep.
And I hope that so in the state of Pennsylvania, and let me just mention, you talked about Massachusetts passing its own version of the Affordable Care Act years and years ago. Republican governor, Mitt Romney,
Absolutely.
now a
Yep.
senator from Utah. So we passed the Affordable Care Act, and President Obama never envisioned, and it was something that had been discussed for 100 years. President Obama got it done with the help of Joe Biden.
Yes.
Right? As President Obama talks about on the campaign trail all the time. He laid that in the hands of Joe Biden to get that across the finish line. Why? Because he had served with Joe Biden in the Senate. He saw the 40 plus years of work that Joe Biden has done across the aisle. To your point, when Democrats and Republicans could get behind something that was a good idea that would benefit all the people, like health insurance covering 20 million Americans, right? The cancer in politics right now in Washington, D.C. is no other than Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
Donald Trump is a racist, ugly figurehead. Mitch McConnell is the evil genius who made sure he doesn't care about whether anybody lives or dies. And let's take a moment to remember that Herman Cain gave his life for Donald Trump. He died of the coronavirus. He doesn't care if the 20 million people lose their health insurance who have been covered under the Affordable Care Act. The day after the election, they're going to vote to end pre-existing condition coverage, which is going to be huge. And then from the moment the Affordable Care Act got passed, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, their mission was to undermine it and make it go away.
Yep.
And so that is, in their eyes, that's why 45 is the perfect
Puppet.
guy in the exactly.
It can't
Because
happen.
whatever they want, he says.
He says.
That's all he cares about. So there's a lot riding on this election, and I don't know how Amy Coney Barrett is going to vote on the process of the mail-in ballots, because this is our first presidential year in Pennsylvania voting mail-in, and there's already been a number of lawsuits that Attorney General Josh Shapiro has had to defeat. I don't know where we're going to be with pre-existing conditions. We have just set up an exchange here in Pennsylvania. So when the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2009, I believe it was, billions and billions of dollars was offered to the states to set up their own statewide exchange. Because the President of the United States doesn't know what's best for every state. For all 50 states. So he offered the states billions of dollars to set up their own exchange. And the states where they did, like Kentucky, it has worked really well. Pennsylvania, under the leadership or lack of leadership of Tom Corbett and a Republican majority, decided they were not going to set up a state exchange. And many, many Republican states did not do that. So it pushed all the burden of getting your health insurance on the federal marketplace. So that's when you heard when the Affordable Care Act became law and went into place and there was open enrollment, the website was crashing. There were so many problems. I remember going on it and coming back like 4 hours later and it was still telling me to hold on.
Hold on.
So President Obama, with only the best intentions, covering, because at the time there were 37 million Americans who didn't have health insurance. With only the best intention in mind to cover all Americans, right? Regardless of what your income is, regardless of what your stature is, that you would be able to get health insurance. Every Republican governor, except for, I think Kentucky had a Democratic governor at the time, but many of the Republican governors, many of the Republican legislatures fought this tooth and nail, and we were one of those states. So we lost out on that opportunity, and the country lost out on the opportunity in all of these years since President Obama has been out of office, and while he was in office. Instead of building on this monumental, probably the greatest achievement of the 21st century,
Yes.
the only achievement that will be better than this will be the day that we throw Donald Trump out of office.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Vote. Get out and vote.
Exactly. So what should have been the greatest achievement of the 21st century that we should have spent the next 8 years building upon and making better, we've tried to tear it down. We've seen insurance companies pull out, so there would be less choice. There would be higher premiums. This was all a concerted effort by insurance companies, politicians, because they didn't like regulation. If we want to charge $40 for an aspirin, who are you to tell me I can't charge $40 for an aspirin in a hospital? So here in the state of Pennsylvania, I like to think we learned our lesson. And in 2019, last year, we passed a state exchange. So what we have now is called Penny. And I'm going to put my glasses on so that I can read because the print is really small. So you go to penny.com and open enrollment starts today.
We're going to put that on the website. I'll take that information from you after the show and we'll also put that up.
I will give you this with the timeline and everything. So open enrollment starts today and it ends January 15th. And my glasses are already fogging up.
Okay.
So you can go to penny.com and you can look at the website and you can sign up for the Pennsylvania State Insurance Marketplace. And you can go on there and it's a relatively simple website. It's a helping hand. It's an individual market source of financial assistance to reduce premiums, lower the cost of care, and offer unbiased local assistance, education, and support every step of the way.
Nice.
Penny aims to make it possible for all Pennsylvanians to have access to high-quality, affordable health insurance. Now imagine Penny takes off. Let's say we get the House back on November 2nd in Pennsylvania. We have a Democratic governor. Imagine how we can start attacking prescription drugs and lowering those prices, right? Imagine how we can start making healthcare affordable for everyone. I'm not a socialist, so I don't believe in Medicare for all. I enjoy the support of many, many unions, and unions don't want Medicare for all. They fight for their health coverage and their health care as part of their union negotiations, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are wealthy people who will never need to worry about Medicare for all. They can pay for everything on their own. They want their level of health insurance. So I am not going to subscribe to the one-size-fits-all health insurance.
Right.
What I am saying is there needs to be a single-payer option. And whatever you can afford, that's what you pay. And if you cannot afford to pay, then you get Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all benefit from people being healthy,
Yes.
from people being well.
Absolutely.
A wellness checkup is much
Mm-hmm.
cheaper than a surgery,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
If you lower your cholesterol, if the medication that you have to take to lower your cholesterol, to lower your blood pressure, to treat your diabetes, if all of that is affordable and you get, a gym membership with your health insurance and you can stay
Yes.
healthy, then we all benefit from that. It keeps all of our premiums down.
Down.
It
Right.
keeps health. I read an article in the New York Times a couple of years ago that talked about the mechanism that goes in your knee for a knee replacement. That piece of hardware costs $400. By the time it gets into your knee,
Yeah.
it
It's
has cost $20,000.
Mhm.
So
That's ridiculous.
that's, you know what? My fervent wish is that everybody in Pennsylvania have the same quality health care that I have at taxpayer expense. Because you all pay for my health care. I want to pay for your health care. I want it to be affordable. I want your premiums to be low. I want your prescriptions to be low. I want us all to be healthy. Because we are the fattest, most unhealthy country in the world, and it's time to change that.
It is definitely time
But
to
we
change
have to take
that.
responsibility for our own health. And a lot of the medications that we are taking, we don't have to take because it can be controlled by diet.
That's right.
But again, the discipline. We're undisciplined in almost
Everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and even what Lady Wisdom was sharing. And let me just say to you guys, I sometimes get lost in what's happening. I am such a fan. I'm always like, when I see her coming through, I'm like,
Lady Wisdom. Mhm.
I'm so excited because I love listening to how she processes. And so blessed that the sistership has the sisters that we have. But that being said, some of the people you had mentioned, Ice-T, Ice Cube, 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, and where their minds are going. First of all, their music has never been respectful to anybody anyway. So they all have brown
Bingo.
mothers.
Bingo.
And the way they talk about brown women, they have no respect for their brown mother. So I'm definitely not taking political advice from someone who cannot complete a complete song without using every four-letter word, every derogatory statement against any person that walks down the street. Sounds like maybe that's why they would be friends with the current 45.
45.
Well, that, and they want to make sure that I'm a tax professional, and I'll let you know a lot of these people are trying to keep their tax cuts.
Bottom
Well,
line.
Tax cuts are important to those that are making over $400,000 a year. Your average person isn't. So for them, yeah, they would be on board for
They
him.
would be on board. So we were sharing about every vote counting, and I wanted to make mention of something that I had posted this week, because I've been hearing people talk about this is similar or reminiscent.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I know you're going to read that, but I know it's 3 o'clock, so we do have call-ins at 3
We have
o'clock.
call-ins, yes.
I know Jane, she's supposed to be here with us, but she's going to call in
Okay.
and give us some advice. So the number to call in is...
888-304-4401,
And-
888-304-4401. So people have been sharing how this is reminiscent to the Bush-Gore election.
Oh my God, yes.
And I wanted to share reasons why we need to pay attention. In the 2000 presidential election, the results were decided in the courts and basically came down to two counties in Florida. If either of those counties fell to Gore, he would have been president. So one of them was Martin County, where Republicans were pushing hard to mail in votes. Yes, the exact opposite of what you're hearing today. okay? Because of the printing error, GOP voters in these 2 counties submitted absentee ballot requests that lacked required voter identification numbers. These incomplete request forms should have been discarded according to the Florida law. But the Republican supervisors of elections illegally allowed operatives with the Florida GOP to correct the forms so that Republican voters would receive their ballots. In Martin County, a Republican official was allowed to take this incomplete ballot from the office, fill in the missing information, and then return them without any supervision. The reason why this is important, one of the lawyers for this case in Martin County that had 700 illegal ballots counted for a Bush win by a margin of 537 votes count. And that was Amy Coney Barrett. 2 other lawyers that worked on the Republican side of Bush versus Gore results in other capacities, Justice Roberts and Justice Kavanaugh. Democrats were given no chance to fix the problem with their forms. This allowed Republicans to send nearly 700 in Martin County to GOP voters who otherwise would have received a ballot, and the other counties got to send out 2,000 extra ballots. Democrats sued to have all the incorrect ballots on both sides thrown out. They lost the case, and Bush won the presidency with 537 votes. This nomination is about one thing, stacking the deck with people who overturn an election. The president doesn't care about Roe or the ACA. It's about getting a close enough margin that can be brought to this court with a built-in precedent that is in his favor. So I wanted to say that because, and I put that out there, and I know I have a lot of people on my feed that are on all sides, and I welcome all sides. I don't welcome one, I welcome all. But I said this here, and I posted it, and I said to you guys, please fact check me if you have something to say.
It's time to get the bullies out.
And you can call in at 1-888-304-4401. We will have the lines open. Jane, if you want to call in, you can call in as well.
Now, this is, so that being said, what is your, right now with a, I know I want to go local because it's real important for us to share with local, but broad, where are you feeling as you're traveling, how the world is receiving who we are? And we'll grab this first. Speaker. Sistership, we got it! Hey, with Maureen Madden. Hi, Jane. Good day.
How are you guys doing? I love this.
Oh,
Excellent.
Great. I have to say I'm so always impressed with the format and the platform that y'all always offer, not just to women but to the community. And of course, State Representative Madden, you are
Awesome.
You are always overwhelming in regard to your knowledge of the issues and all of the things that you've brought back, particularly big money to our community, to the 115th, which has certainly made our community a better place to live. Absolutely. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Jane, for those kind words.
Say is, I've known Maureen. We went through those losses together when she was running, and now she is my state representative, and I'm very proud to always say that to anyone. This election, I am going to be a poll watcher, an outside poll watcher.
Thank you.
I just went today and got I went through a class, I got certification, and there's things that I did not know, and I'm an old.
She always says she's an old head.
person, too. I'm a senior citizen, but I feel like
you're queen-ager.
Queen-ager.
I'm a queen-ager. I'm soon going to be 68, and there were things I learned through this training that I did not know that is absolutely scary to me. For instance, in the state of Pennsylvania, you can, if you have a license to carry, you can bring those weapons with you. And they can, and I don't even have to paint the picture for you. You've seen in the past at some of these rallies, at some of these places that they're protesting, they're wearing these high-powered rifles across their chests and their bullet belts and so on and so on. and that is perfectly legal to do in the state of Pennsylvania, which is horrifying to me. I'm all about, listen, I don't deny anyone the right to carry or the right of arms. I do myself, but I don't see why a high-powered rifle needs to be brought to a polling booth.
Oh,
I really,
absolutely.
It's a form of bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing to remember,
yeah.
is that may be the law in Pennsylvania, but it is a federal law that nobody has the right to intimidate anybody at a
Ballot
polling
Street.
place.
Mhm.
So if you feel
Right, and that-
intimidated, you call the police.
Yes, actually,
And if they're in school, they can't.
I learned through this training. This is why I did it, because all elections are important. But look, guys, let's face it. This one, and I'm going to, repeat what Joe Biden said. We're fighting for the soul of our country, and we are fighting.
Yes, we are.
For the soul of this country right now. And I felt I had to take a step further and become a poll watcher. And yes, I will watch that poll. I will make sure no one is intimidated and they get their vote in. Be that Republican, Democrat, Independent, whomever, that is the whole purpose of it. But I felt, for me, I had to step up and do this. I can only do it outside. Most of you know my circumstances, but I'm going to be there, and I'm going to watch that poll. I can guarantee you, and I'm going to video. So if anything goes down. I just wanted to say that. But again, State Representative Madden, I have to say I'm always so impressed with the way you speak, the knowledge you have of the issues, and the accountability that you take for things that you go, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And I appreciate that. Just like you, Tiffany, had said earlier when you heard Joe Biden say, I made a mistake. Isn't it better to be able to
Yes.
Someone saying,
know that we're all human, right? I mean, we all make mistakes. And to think like this guy and this clown in the White House thinks he doesn't make mistakes, that's scarier
that's
Yes.
scary.
than someone who can take it over in office and go, maybe I shouldn't be doing it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Scarier to me when you think you never make a mistake.
Mhm.
That's scary.
No, I definitely, and that is a challenge. I think we all can say, I'm a queen ager too. I just tapped it. But that being said, who I was at 20 and some of the choices I made at 20 are not the same choices that I made at 30 and definitely aren't the same
Exactly.
choices that I made at 50. However, when I am sharing about 20, I don't pretend that it was okay, my actions.
Right.
I made a mistake. I grew up in this area and thought this conversation was acceptable conversation. It was okay to say these words. It was okay to act like this. And my gosh, as I matured or as I found God or whatever has taken place in your life where epiphanies and aha moments happen, you honor the growth and say I was wrong that day. I was wrong that day. And you don't have to be okay with the fact that I made a wrong, and you don't have to be okay with the fact that I'm trying to share that I made a wrong and I'm trying to make it right. But I have to be the person to say, I got to take responsibility for me. And how you receive it is how. When you are a public figure or you are someone who is in a position to make change, create change, instill change, you can't sit. It feels like we are in a monarchy. This is what, when they say, they want to take us back to, they want to make us socialists or they want to make us all these things. And it's like, I feel like, we don't have a king and a queen, but there's some
feel it.
duchesses and dukes and stuff happening right now, or some mentality of,
And you can feel it.
cool, it's harsh.
You can feel it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
For those voters that are
Listen,
out
I
there,
won't hog up the phone line.
Oh, no.
Maybe other people are trying to call in, but I just wanted to recognize and appreciate everything that all of you do, and thank you again, State Representative Madden, for always being
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. I appreciate that.
Jane,
Have a great
thank you for polling. You know, that's an honor,
huge.
and that's thank you. And
Huge.
you shared that you have to do things a certain way based on certain things you're going through, but still you're taking that moment, that chance, and that sacrifice and your time to do and be there to be be righteous within this time frame. So thank you so much, Jane, for that.
Definitely
Okay,
appreciate you.
thank you, guys.
Blessings.
Have a
Thank you.
good rest of the
Bye-bye.
show.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
If we're going to use the past, the words of candidates past against them, let's just go back
Oh.
to when Trump said if he was going to run for president, he would run as a Republican because they're a bunch of dummies. That is on video. Not all, we won't have no lying.
Oh God. Let me get a bite.
Everything is on video, but if people just really pay attention to that, the difference is he won't hold himself accountable. He has decided he wasn't holding himself accountable. And he said it out of his own mouth. I will not take responsibility for any of this. So why would you want to put him back in there? Be careful. Be careful what you ask for.
What you asked for. We here in Pennsylvania went through a shutdown during COVID, and there were openings that were periodic. You know, some counties and this and that. If we end up going through something like that, what is I will say for me, I was removed from the understanding of the matrix on how the decisions to open each area. Can you share a little bit?
I sure can. So, quickly, because we have a governor who's an MIT graduate and
Okay.
believes in science and medicine and data, we took the approach that many of our surrounding states did, New Jersey, New York, and we did a regional approach. I believe there are 7 states. I think it's New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Ohio, Delaware, Pennsylvania. So we took a regional approach that we would protect each other. And now New York is asking that if people come to New York from other states, that they prove they can test negative and that they self-quarantine. But you know who that doesn't include? It doesn't include Connecticut, it doesn't include New Jersey, and it doesn't include Pennsylvania. Because we've all been working together all of this time. So there were areas that got hit really hard. Montgomery County, Philadelphia, oh my gosh, the numbers off the charts every day. Monroe County, within our proximity, because of our proximity to New York and New Jersey, our numbers were pretty high. So very quickly on, I worked with Governor Wolf to shut down the Airbnbs, and truthfully, Representative Brown and Senator Scavello, to shut down the Airbnbs because there were realtors in New York and New Jersey advertising, come to the corona-free Pennsylvania and quarantine. But they weren't. They were going to our Walmarts and our supermarkets and everywhere.
Without masks.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to shut down really quickly. So then Governor Wolf took the regional approach. So maybe the numbers in Pike are low and have always been low, but the numbers in Monroe County are high, and the numbers in Carbon County are low, and Lackawanna is high. If Lackawanna and Monroe County are low, what stops Roy and Maureen from going to Pike or Carbon to have dinner?
Right.
Because they're open for business. So Governor Wolf's approach was a regional approach. And there is an investigation being done now about, how some stores were allowed to open and other stores weren't allowed to open. And you're in real estate, and so real estate was a big sticking point as well. And so did we do everything correctly? No, we did not. But you know what? We're not Florida. We're not Texas. We're not seeing our numbers go up in such extraordinary numbers that we're testing our hospitals right now. How many patients we have, how many ICU beds we have, how many ventilators. There are states, the Dakotas right now, that don't have any more ICU beds, that are now going looking for ventilators again. I don't want to be those states. I want to be Pennsylvania. It's the one thing that the governor had control of through executive order because it was an emergency disaster that he was able to take control of, and overwhelmingly we did a good job. People died in nursing homes in just really unjust numbers, but that happened in other states, not Pennsylvania. I lost my stepmother on May 5th, which would have been my dad's 87th birthday. She was living in a nursing home in New Jersey. So these people were just, you know, at the mercy of the people who came in and out every day to take care of them, to make sure they did the right thing. I got very widely criticized because I stuck with Governor Wolf. I did not vote against him. Everything that the Republicans tried to do in Harrisburg was to undermine our safety. Open up, open up, open up. Real estate was a big thing. I got criticized for voting not to open up real estate. The reason I did that was because within that bill was a piece of in the legislation was a line that said, if you're building a new house, your certificate of inspection or certificate of occupancy is assumed without an inspection. So if you're building a new house and you get that certificate of occupancy, and 6 months down the road you say, oh, wait a minute, I want an inspection now,
You can't.
doesn't happen. The other thing, they never wrote the law that restricted open houses. The way the Republicans wrote the law, open houses, as many people as you want, was allowed. We're trying to contain and mitigate a virus. Why would we have an open house where maybe people are going to wear a mask, maybe they're not? So everything that I did was to mitigate and to save as many lives. If I made mistakes in following the governor, perhaps I did. Maybe there were things we could have done better. But my standpoint was I'm going to err on the side of public health and human life.
That's good.
And so did we make mistakes?
Of course.
Absolutely. Did we see many less deaths than other states? Absolutely. And we were always able, whether we had to build tents or whatever the situation was, we were always able to take care of the people in Monroe County.
I have a question for you. We went back last week to wearing our mask on a show because the numbers were
Kept going up.
increasing and going up. And I am now kind of battling on whether or not I'm going to pull my kids out of hybrid. Where are we going, do you know, in terms of maybe shutting down again? I'm hearing people, I think they're going to shut down. Do you know kind of where we stand right now with all that?
So yeah, it's oh gosh, let me see if I can remember. If we get, what is it? When we opened up, it was less than 50 cases for a 2-week period. I don't think we're following that same format now because we're seeing our numbers are going up. 6 weeks ago, we were at under 800 cases a day. Now we're over 2,000 cases.
Right.
We knew this was going to happen. I don't think we have 500 school districts, so we can't possibly legislate for 500 school districts. We have to allow school districts and people who are elected to school boards to make their own decisions. And I think they're doing a pretty good job. Pleasant Valley has shut down a couple of times. Strasburg, you know.
MCTI, South, they've shut down a couple of times. So, I mean, we're kind of like battling.
If you are comfortable, if you are uncomfortable with your child being in school 2 days a week, you should absolutely pull that child out and let that child learn. We passed a law. We passed a bill in the House that said, if as a parent at the end of the school year you don't feel like your child has gotten the education they should have, and they're not prepared to move to the next grade, you could request to leave your child behind. I personally
that's a lot
believe
for them, though.
It is, but it's COVID. It's not it's not like you're a failure. It's like you tried to learn in the middle of a pandemic and it didn't work for you. I personally think that the only kids who should be in school, and I don't push this on anybody, it's my personal opinion, I think the only kids in schools should be kids who do not have access to remote learning and children with IEPs. I think everybody who can learn And once we have a vaccine and we get this pandemic under control, we need to address the systemic issues that keep people from being able to distance learn. How is there anybody in Monroe County who doesn't have access to broadband? But there is.
Right.
There
Price
is.
Township, Paradise Township. There are places in Green County in the western part of Pennsylvania. They don't even have
anything.
landlines. They don't have landlines. How are these children distance learning? So when we get a handle on this and we get a vaccine and there's a new normal, we need to address all of these issues. Why isn't every teacher trained to teach on Blackboard or to teach remote learning?
Correct.
Right? Why doesn't every child? Stroudsburg School Board partnered with Stroudsburg Borough Council, and they made sure that they got hotspots to every child that needed a hotspot.
Right.
I was able to partner with Senator Scavello before the pandemic hit, and we pulled together $400,000 to buy Chromebooks
Nice.
for kids in Stroudsburg School that they had asked for them, and that was part of a local share of the gaming money that we were able to do, even before the pandemic hit. But why should there be any kid that doesn't have doesn't have a Chromebook,
access to
right?
Wi-Fi, correct.
Absolutely, and so I think parents should do what they feel is safe for their children, and look at who lives in your family. If you're taking care of an 80-something-year-old grandparent in your home, then maybe your children shouldn't be in school because they might not get sick. But for me, all it took was this mom posting on Facebook about how she has a 5-year-old son who got COVID in April and in September is still dealing with that inflammatory disease with welts all over his body, and how excruciating it is for him and for all of his family members to watch.
And I know for us, I mean, I manage a dental office, and we haven't reopened since. And a lot of people are kind of wondering why we haven't opened, but you're directly into the mouth. There's no one that can, say we're going to be okay if we service these people.
That's right.
So a lot of people are kind of upset because we aren't open, but the fact is, no one can guarantee that no one in the office is going to get sick over it.
And what are we making, and where's your hazard pay when you do open? And where's the hazard pay for Walmart workers? And where's the when
Right.
right?
Yes.
Where's our national, and what makes anybody think that a family that's living paycheck to paycheck
Right.
can survive on one stimulus check
That's another thing.
and a few months of pandemic unemployment? It's
And what happens
really
now that
not
those
nothing.
things have expired for people? You gave people a $1,200 payment. That's not even some people's rent.
nope.
You gave the extended with the pandemic unemployment up until July. It's October. I was reading
November.
November. I was actually reading a news article today where they're talking about New Jersey is about to shut down or start restricting again because the numbers are going high, and it's going to go in effect start November 5th. So if the numbers continue to grow, they're going to actually start restricting again. People are complaining about being restricted. I guess maybe because I don't understand how you work so hard to get a place to live. You got a place to live, and you so hate being in your own home.
I know.
Like
I
grocery
know.
shop, go
And
home.
go home.
Get your necessities and go home. If your house is boring, it's not the house, it's you. Like really.
There's not a dull moment in my house.
I know. I keep praying for a boring
Play
moment.
with some board
I-
games.
I
Go
mean-
to the store, empty the shelves out of board games. Forget the video games. Put your kids down, sit them down, play Monopoly with them, play cards with them. And if your kids are struggling in school, get them off of the computer and talk to them. Find out what they're struggling with, and know that new math that they have is trash.
Oh.
But
Don't ask me about that.
there's things that you can do
I
with your
love
family. There's things that you can do with your family.
Yes.
That stay home. Stay home. I actually I manage a tax office, and I was considered an essential worker, and I literally wanted to smack Governor Wolf. Honestly, I didn't understand why I had to still be there. And we're in a commuter area. That made it for me, I thought I got to the point, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I got to the point where I was ready to quit. Like, your procrastination doesn't create my emergency. It just doesn't. But we're in a situation now where the majority of the people that's going to sit down with us are going to have to go remote, electronic.
Well, I was non-essential, as you know, being a
essential.
realtor,
No, I
real
hated
estate
it.
agent. A realtor is actually a
Just
brand.
like she said, where's the hazard pay?
But one of my challenges was not so much, I was okay with a lot until I got a call from a woman who was being abused by her husband. And I think because they were not happy of the environment that they were in, and whatever
Yeah,
their
they found
challenges
that a
were, it was
She was trying to
escalated.
do a lot.
And then I couldn't service. So there was this, I got it. Like exactly what you were saying, Maureen. I got it. I understood that sometimes common sense isn't so common.
That's right.
And that's why there has to be someone to make sometimes a blanket decision, but there is some people out there that would be doing it right. But it broke me, and I'm like, you know, and I could not get her
To what
out.
you needed to.
Time progressed, and she's okay now, but she endured. And I heard that story, and I've, with my agents, heard other stories of things like that. So I really would. My thing is, I don't know. That's why I'm not running for anything. You know, you need people that have a head, have a mind, and can maybe understand how to prioritize what here, because everything is huge. So when I grab this one right now, because I got to deal with this, in the event of, you know, maybe we can have some dialogue in reference to ideas or when I used to do marketing and you have a group of people and you have a focus group, and maybe it felt like our voice was only between people that really did not hear our stories. And I think that's where a lot of the challenges were. I got it, but I also understood there's these moments that we really needed to step up.
Right. So, and here's how, and we're talking about healthcare, right? So let's state some facts. There's no such thing as herd immunity. Herd immunity means tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of more people are going to die. There is $1 billion right now left of CARES dollars that the Republican majority in Harrisburg is sitting on. Why isn't that money going to our small businesses to keep our restaurants open? Why isn't that money going to unemployment to help people who are still, my husband is a musician. Imagine the next time he's going to work in a restaurant and be spewing 12 feet of you know, his breath. So why aren't we helping those people? Why aren't we, it costs, I think they said, I forget how much it was, but it was a very large number to fully equip our schools with the tools that they need to be able to distance learn. Why aren't we talking about that? Why is everything coming out of the other side's mouth undermining what Governor Wolf is trying to do to keep us safe? When you talk about your voice being lost, how about your legislators on the other side of the aisle are not talking to you and not listening to you and not working with the governor and the people who are trying to keep us safe, like Dr. Levine, right? That's the conversation we should be having. Governor Wolf has done everything possible to keep us safe. The Republican legislature has done everything they can to undermine that. The Democratic Congress passed a bill 5 months ago, the HEROES Act. Mitch McConnell hasn't taken it up. President Trump said, I'm not giving any more relief money until after the election.
Yes.
Because that if he loses, that time between November and January, we're on our own.
We're on our own. We were talking about that yesterday as well. So it's going to be scary.
Yeah, it's gonna be scary. I mean, it's 3:30.
Yeah, it's 3:30. So we do. I mean, we're going to have her, Maureen, come back on.
First and foremost, Tuesday.
Get out and
Vote. Vote.
Get out and
Vote,
vote.
vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
I mean,
having me.
I know this is just a busy next 2 days for you, and thank you so much for taking out this time to share with our listeners and our viewership. I'm red, white, and blue. Yeah, I didn't cut the hair. This is from the Halloween last night. Y'all can poll, is this a yay or a nay? Should I go back to my long hair, or should I play with the short hair? But regardless of voting for my hair, definitely on Tuesday,
Right here.
vote for change. Vote
Equality.
for equality. And if you're not sure, vote for me.
Vote for humanity.
And
Yes.
That's the vote. The vote on Tuesday is a vote for humanity.
Yes,
it
Our
is.
Maureen.
shared humanity.
Maureen has this fabulous billboard on Cuba.
Yes.
And
On 196.
on 196 in Cuba, and she has on the Black Votes Matter shirt because we also did a march as
Yes.
well. And the whole team purchased shirts for Black Votes Matter, and then they have a Black Lives Matter shirt. Beautiful billboard. So we need to get out and vote.
Get out there and vote.
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 And it's an easy message. Together we rise.
Together
Amen.
we rise. Yep.
Amen. Yes.
Give me an elbow.
Elbow.
You gave me.
Give me an
Yes.
elbow.
Give me
Right.
the elbow. And socially distance. This is your girl Tiffany Rowe. This is Tiffany Kell and Lady Wisdom. And yes, thank you so much, Representative Maureen Madison.
It's been my pleasure.
Queen Angel
Thank you
Wisdom.
so
Queen
much.
Thank you so
Angel.
much. Queen Angel
And
Wisdom.
Penny, please, PENNIE.com. Open enrollment starts today and it ends January 15, 2021. Please get that information. We love you. This is the Sister Ship. And we
We
out.
on a sister ship.
Roll with us. We on a sister ship. Mwah. Peace.
Well, that was fun.
We're good?